Okay, we have time for questions.
Yeah, we got 20 minutes.
Thank you, Rami.
You're welcome.
I'm glad that's where you went. Because I don't see a lot of the love out there. I see a lot of the fear. But I am aware of the fact that young people today, a lot of young people and maybe older people, I don't know about people in this audience, but are turning to plant medicine for that reason. And I was wondering if you want to say anything about that, because I think that that's a lot of what people are longing for, is to connect with.
Yeah, I think, so, did everybody hear what she said? Yeah, no, she said that people are turning to drugs.
No, I actually didn't say that.
No, I'm joking.
Come on.
She said plant medicine.
Take me seriously. I didn't say turning to drugs.
No, I was joking. To plant medicine. Connecting with the earth is part of that whole turning, right? If the medicine is medicine, it's the earth saying, I can heal you, right? So yeah, there's hope in that. But I suspect, first of all, I don't know if I put my hope in younger people.
I wasn't talking about hope. I was just saying,
But even
it's an observation
yeah,
that the surrender is very hard for most of us,
yeah, right.
and that more and more people recognize ceremony allows them in a collective to surrender. And I'm just observing. I'm just one person observing.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
That there's something desperate around the
That's a
need
good
for
word.
surrender.
Yeah,
And
right.
since we aren't a culture that recognizes grief as an acceptable way of being, we don't know how to understand this process. And I think there's an urgency and a desperation to get out of our heads, to get into the sensory world, and to release into the surrender. So that's just an observation.
Okay, so I want to say two things. First, I'm sorry if you thought I was not taking you seriously. I thought you were talking about ayahuasca and stuff like that. Oh, you are? Oh, okay. So I see them as part of drugs, but I see what you're saying. But so there's this desperate need. Yeah, I agree. The grief part. I think I heard three things. One is that the earth is trying to help. Two is the power of ritual and the need for ritual. But I'm wondering if the rituals we have are in fact not doing just the opposite of the rituals you're imagining or you're talking about. They're not self-emptying rituals. They're ego-empowering rituals, so much of the rituals we do. We need some other kind of ritual. And then I'm not sure, and I just don't know, I'm not sure if a ritual that is prepared by others in which we participate can be that self-emptying ritual. That maybe it has to be a spontaneous happening when we're together in some critical mass chanting and something happens out of that, I don't know. I don't know. But ecstasy is the ritual. I don't know if the word ritual is right. What we're desperately in need of, I think, is ecstasy, to work through the grief, to burn the grief away. And I think that as a society, we're afraid of ecstasy, unless it's the kind of drug you were thinking of when I said drug.
But I also think we're afraid of grief.
When we're afraid of grief. Yeah, no, we're afraid of everything. But yeah, we're afraid of grief, and we're afraid of ecstasy. And maybe they go hand in hand. So, I mean, that's the best I can do with that. But I think you really are on something.
My question is, why do you think there are so few men in the audience here?
Oh, I don't know if I think that's true. Did anyone do a head count? 80%, 80-20. It's Pareto principle.
I like the odds.
What?
I like the odds.
You like the odds. Honestly, if I didn't count. But if you did count and we've got 20% men here, I think that's a pretty good turnout. But I think I know what you're talking about, and we'll see if I do a better job with this question than the last one. when I do retreats, it's mostly women. It's mostly white women. Mostly white women. And it's mostly white women of a certain socioeconomic class. Right? So where are the men? I don't know. Maybe she said working. I don't know if that's what it is. It's like when women got empowered in church, the men went to something else. Men have got a problem. But this kind of thing we're talking about is just, and I don't know if this is true, or if it is true, I don't know why it's true. It doesn't seem to appeal to men. It just doesn't appeal to men. So that's sad. But 20%, if that's really what it is, I think that's great.
So I heard you talk about the emptying, the gone, more gone than gone,
Yeah.
beyond the gone.
Yeah.
And it also made me think about the here, more here, beyond the here, where you can be really, really present. And my gut is that you can sort of engage or capture the same thing through both of those ways. And I just was interested to hear what you thought about that.
So that's interesting, right? So gone, and here are, you're saying flip sides of the same coin? Am I saying that? So sure, why not? Because what's gone, it's not your physical being is gone, it's gone. What's gone are all the things, like you said, that are distracting us from being here, right? All that's gone. And what's left is what's here, and what's here is God, or the Divine Mother in form. So I don't see them as diametrically opposed. Maybe yin-yang kind of thing.
Randy?
Randy, we're over there.
We're over here.
I loved your message, Rabbi.
And you're a guy, right?
Yes.
See? There's a guy there.
I also have 4 sons too, and they're all
really?
They're all gods. Anyway, I recently read your latest book, Surrender.
Okay, thank you. Did you buy it? That's what I care.
Yes. My wife bought it for me.
Same deal. I get 13 cents. Thank you.
She's a god too. You get 13 cents on that, right?
Yeah. Right.
I thought it was quite thought-provoking. And I have a question because I've given a lot of thought to it. You wrote about free will.
Uh-oh.
And what I inferred from your writing is that you believe in free will except in certain circumstances. And is that true?
It may have been when I wrote the book. Or you may have to read that chapter again. I think that we have the illusion of free will, but I don't really think we have free will. I think that the ego is structured in such a way that it imagines it makes choices, but I think there's so many variables that are controlling us that I don't think, I mean, absolute free will means there's somewhere in your brain a bit of you that is absolutely unconditioned and unconditionable. That's free. I'm not free. You know, if I walk into Ben & Jerry's is on the, no, Haagen-Dazs is on the New England, right? So if I walk into Haagen-Dazs, which I did, I don't know how many flavors they had in the counter, but there's only one flavor I can eat, right? Not because I freely choose not to eat the other ones, it's because the other ones suck. Given my taste buds and my, whatever, the only one I like is vanilla almond, right? So I'm going to walk in there, so the two of us, right? I'm going to walk in there every time I'm going to get vanilla almond. Am I free to get something else? Theoretically, but practically no, because they suck. So it's like I go to Baskin Robbins. You ever have rum raisin? Who invented that? That's disgusting. Right? I just don't get it. I'll never get that. So am I free to get it? Well, theoretically, but unless you make me do it, I'm not going to do it. So I think it seems to me that we make choices. It feels like we're making choices, but I don't know if it's really true. I mean, do I choose who I fell in love with? Really? I don't think so, right? I just fell in love with someone, if for no other reason to piss my parents off. She wasn't Jewish. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I did it, and that's conditioning, you know? So I don't know how much free will we have. I think instead that if we are surrendered to reality, we end up being empowered to do what's healthy and wise. But it's not free choice. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I think at the moment.
Okay, I'll go now. Thank you very much. I just wanted to tell you quickly that I so appreciate you. I heard you on a DVD with Father Thomas Keating. Quickly, I was raised Catholic, married a Jewish man. We could not, for many reasons, raise our 2 sons Catholic, and we went into Reform Judaism. But I always taught them about Jesus the man, about Jesus the mystic who was a Jewish man, and how radical he was, and the many things about him that I wanted them to know. And I heard you speak about that years later after teaching them. They're now in their young 30s. And how you had said that Father Thomas Keating brought you to Jesus the man.
Yeah.
And I often will speak to Jewish people, and I feel horribly that Jesus was taken away from Jews. And I often will speak to Jews about that and how they have a right to know Jesus as a Jewish man. And I just want to thank you for my head was already there, and when I heard you say it, and my son lives right outside of Snowmass now, so I often go to the Benedictine monastery there, and I just have felt connected to you for a long time, and I've come to this symposium for many years, but you were the reason I came today.
Ah, well, thank you. Thank you. So just very quickly, just to make an observation. So Jews, for good historical reason, are freaked out by Jesus, right? Because everyone that we ever knew who loved Jesus hated us. So it doesn't really, it's not a great relationship. But it's a shame, because Jesus is one of us. We gave him over to people who were all about the Christ and not about Jesus. So it is a shame. But I don't do this so much anymore, but the rabbis in Nashville, one guy in particular, would always take Good Friday off. That weekend, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, he would always take it off. I don't know why, it's not a Jewish holiday, but he would take it off. And I would fill in for him. And interestingly, Good Friday always falls on the Sabbath. So I would go into the synagogue and do the Friday night service. And at the end of the end of a service, you always read the names of people who had died, in that year or times past, and then you say the prayer for the dead for them. So I would read, Martha Schwartz, Jacob Newman, Jesus, son of Mary, Barry. I just put him in there. And then we would go, Yit Gadol, Yigadash. We'd say the prayer. And then afterwards, most people aren't even listening. They're going, I wonder if they have those wonderful donuts at the meal. But if there's someone who's listening, they always come running and go, why did you put Jesus in there? I said, because he died on Friday, this Friday, he died, and he's the most famous Jew who ever lived, and we should honor his memory by saying Kaddish for him, and it's a scandalous thing that we've given him up when we really we have insight into him that others may not, and we should reclaim him. So, yeah, so I agree.
Did you want this? I have one question. I've been struggling with the question throughout the lecture, whether being a man has a greater struggle to get in touch with the divine woman, feminine, whether we have to plow through high grass first. And I know my mother always, we come from a large family, and before she would say something, she'd say, Walter, listen. And maybe that's the answer to my question. Maybe we have a struggle with listening.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I want to put one caveat out there that, first of all, you have to be very, maybe I should have said this in the beginning, very careful or wary about listening to a guy talk about the Divine Mother. Because it could be his mother, just projecting her out into the heavens or something, working through his mother issues in this way. I'm very cognizant of the fact that it could be that. I don't think it is for me, but I do worry about that. But then the other thing is the idea of listening. Maybe that we've been, what do you call it, acclimatized, acculturated, not to do that, which is why we're only 20% and not 50% or 49%. But the other thing is, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're in touch with the divine feminine either, right? So, those were the men clapping. So, when the Reform movement, first the Reconstructionist movement led in women rabbis, but the Reform was the first to actually have one ordained. The early women in Reform were still bought into the patriarchy. Their God was still a guy. The hierarchy was still in place. They were just now in the hierarchy. The I don't know what we call it, the image of the Divine Mother would not be a cross, it would be a circle. All inclusive, not the struggle on the cross. But they were working in a hierarchical, dualistic system, and they didn't challenge the system. That may have changed. I don't think so, because I go to synagogues and I read the prayers, and it's the same prayers. So they haven't, for the most part, the system is still in place. It's just allowed women to be part of the system. That scares me. But then you also see some really weird things going on in different religions where it's all patriarchy and they dress like women. Right? Why do priests always wear robes? Wear pants, guys! They don't. It's almost like they're boundary crossing, but just so much so it's safe, but not all the way. I mean, there's all kinds of things you could explore anthropologically about religious dress and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I agree about the men thing, but it doesn't mean that women have it easy with this.